Hey, it's Khoya from the Canada Game Centre, and this week we are upcycling paper. On Tuesday, I shared how to turn old magazines into a variety of different types of beads, and today we are turning scrap paper into more paper. Now, making paper requires some special tools such as a frame and some mesh wire, and I don't have any of those things, and I don't expect you to either. So I got creative and I made my own frame using old cardboard, duct tape, and some landscaping fabric instead of the mesh wire. And if you don't have landscaping fabric, that's okay. I believe that any type of thin fabric would do the trick. So let's start the tutorial. The first step is to rip up your paper. I've ripped up about 8 to 10 sheets here, and I've got that in my blender. And now I'm going to add as much warm water as possible and let that soak. And while that's soaking, I'm going to prepare everything else. The next step is to build your frame. I just cut out some pieces of cardboard and duct tape them to make them a little more water resistant. And then I duct tape the pieces together to make this frame. And underneath the frame I have some landscape fabric, and here I'm just going to put the landscape fabric onto the frame with some clamps. And there you have it, just like that. We've built this frame that has easily removable sides so that we can get at the paper when we're ready to. My paper has been sitting in the warm water for about 15 minutes, and now I'm going to grind it up into a pulp. And there we have it, our pulpy paper. If it looks too thick, you can always add more water, but you just might need a bigger container for that. But this looks great, so let's go pour some paper. So I have a blue tote lid that I've filled up with water, and I have a cookie sheet that I've turned upside down. That's what I will be putting my paper on afterwards. So we're going to take the mold and submerge it in the water, and you'll have to push through a little and have a little patience to wait for the water to seep through the landscape fabric. Once our frame is fully submerged, we can slowly pour in some of our water. Now let's start with that. And we're just going to distribute it out. Ooh, maybe I will add a little bit more. There we go. And you can move it around however you like. I actually have some food coloring here that I'm going to, let's try and see what happens here. So I'll put a couple drops in, see what our paper ends up looking like. And I might swirl that around a little. But once I've done that and I've kind of got the paper in the shape I want, I'm going to slowly lift up my mold here. And it might take a minute for the paper to drain out, or the water to drain out, sorry. And once I've got that, I will move it to my cookie sheet. And now I can remove the sidings from this frame. Now, to help absorb some of that excess water, I've got a window screen here that I've borrowed from one of my windows, and I'm going to lay that flat on the paper. And I've got a sponge here, and I'm just going to gently dab with the sponge and squeeze out excess water. And this may take some time. And there you go, most of the excess water has been dabbed away. And if it's a beautiful sunny day outside, you can definitely leave it outside to dry for a little bit, but because it's a little overcast here today, I'm going to bring this inside. My paper has been drying for about 2 hours now, and you can tell it's starting to take shape because you can actually start to peel it off. However, it's definitely still very fragile and damp, So to help expedite the drying process, I'm going to place a towel over top and another cookie sheet with the bottom on the paper side. And I'm going to flip this over. And now, putting that away, I'm going to try and just peel the paper off of the landscaping fabric and onto that towel. And there's the paper. It has now been just under 24 hours, and as you can see, my paper is totally dry. It is slightly warped. If you want it to dry flat, you need to press it in a towel and something heavy on top while it is drying. But otherwise, it looks pretty cool. Additionally, if you want to speed up the drying process, you can also use a hairdryer. You could also put another towel on top of your paper and iron it. But what I found to be the quickest way to dry your paper would be to leave it in the sun, which you can only do if it's a nice day. Another fun thing you can do with your paper, for example with this one, is I've kind of singed the edges and it gets this really cool little burnt look. Just another fun way to jazz up your paper, but otherwise, we can start drawing on it. Let me know what you guys create. I'd love to see it. Thanks for watching.